Yeah, I'm back with another 5-minute feedback, and this time I am looking at Christoph Rumpel's in-development website. This is his old site. This is his new one. He wants to go for something a little bit fresh and radical, and he would like to have some thoughts on how to get from here to somewhere better. He wants everybody to know that it's still in development. It would be better without me anyway. There's some margins and paddings and font sizes and stuff that he's going to fix anyway. So this is not a reflection of his finished state, which is fine. That's great. That's no problem at all. He says he's overall satisfied with the feel and colors, but it's kind of missing some stuff and needs to be a little bit more radical. The blog is really important. He's not 100% sure about this image of him, doesn't love the logo, and just kind of wants my thoughts on how to spice this up. So let's get into it. Okay, first, some thoughts on the current site as it exists right now. There are a couple of sort of glaring issues to me. There are a lot of different alignments. We've got this outside edge from the logo all the way down to the outside edge here, carried through the outside edge of these borders. But then there's this line, and there's this line that run through, and this is, I think this is center, but that's left aligned to the center div. And so there's like 1, 2, 3, kind of an optical fourth line, vertical like alignment point here, and that's just too much. I'd go with 2, or I'd make sure everything was like whacked out and different. We'll get into that. Also, this hover effect for me is kind of a swing and a miss. I love this background, like this rotated yellow box. I love this style. I use it a lot. However, I think as a hover state, having it appear feels like a miss. So I would either put the whole thing and including the text inside that box, and then change the color or change the alignment, or rather like the transformate, like the rotation on hover, or I would just kill it entirely. Next, there's a little bit of, we've got some high contrast elements, right? So we've got these bold colors, we've got these like thick, chunky serif fonts. I believe this is Bitter, which is a Google font. But then you've got these really low contrast elements like the search, the footer, like the copyright, and this stuff feels like a little
out of place.
Okay, products. I don't love coming soon pages. I would kill it until you have it. The speaking page is cool. You got some great content. You've spoken a lot, which is fantastic. Good job. I love this underlined bottom border color. This is pretty cool. So let's get into some things to change. I pulled a lot of elements into Sketch so we can play around with them easier than inspectoring. And I'm going to kind of break this down into 3 or 4 main things I think you can change. First would be you want something, there needs to be something stronger, like in the top here. This needs to take up more visual weight compared to the content below it, in my opinion. So there's a couple things you could do. I think you need more some content. This is very, very soft. I'm Christoph, I code, write, and teach. This is the same, like that you're gonna be 10,000 people with a similar headline. I don't think you need to condense it down to 8 words. I'd go for 40 or 50, or like a big chunk of content would be okay if it's unique. So let's play around with that for a second. Here's some thoughts. Let's move these out of the way. Hey, I'm Christoph. Let's shrink this font size because it's gonna get bigger. Hey, I'm Christoph. I code. I write code. Let's do this. I write code. I write about code. I talk at conferences about code. I write about talking at conferences at code. And I love chatbots, which is something that is present in his old site, boom, chatbot developer. And you'll see in the content of his blog post, he talks a lot about chatbots. Why not put that in the little bit about you? I'd shrink that down, shrink the font. Here, maybe jack the size up of that. Let's do something funky. Let's take up some horizontal space. The great thing about reusing the same image a bunch of times is there's no extra load on your browser. Boom. I like how this is kind of offset like weirdly like this. That's kind of cool. So if you want to do something like this, let's move that back to the bottom layer. Make sure that you really tighten up that left aligned edge. I'm Christoph. You could probably, it's already bold. Maybe make all the rest of it not bold. And then I'm Christoph. I write code. I write about code. I talk at conferences about code and chatbots. Like highlight some of those important words, and then let's lock this, and we can align these items really easily. I write about code. All right, next we've got this area down here, and we're gonna play around with this idea of the masking tape strip. Let's shrink this. I feel like that's too big and go like bold, just like from the blog. What if you did something like this? So we're gonna not fill it, we're just gonna take a border and we'll do this blue color, and then we'll take a shadow, no blur. We're gonna offset it by a couple of pixels to the left and to the bottom. No opacity, boom. We'll do like this, and then this should be smaller. So maybe it's filled with white. See what that looks like. Yep, I love that. I use that kind of look a lot. You can steal it, it's fine. Think about that. That looks pretty cool. Again, we need to align that left edge. I'd probably go with the bitter and italic there. And I'd probably also take these and make them wider. Play around with this logo. One thing you could do, just go to your font here, just crank it up, make it bold, and then just like hang it outside the box, give it a shadow. It's kind of weak. Your logo doesn't need to be the same font, so we could play around with another font. You've got a little bit of a retro sort of like flair going here, so you could maybe use a brush, something like Northern or SF Neo Noir. Think about that. I think that actually looks pretty cool. I think this is looking pretty cool. These are just some ideas. Take which ones you want, throw everything else away. Just a thought. I hope you find this useful, and good luck, man. I'd love to see the site when it's done.